Good afternoon, people. Good afternoon. It's great to be with you on a Thursday at noon, at least noon Eastern time, if you're watching this on the East Coast. And if you're anywhere else in a different time zone, it is still morning to you. So good morning. And I'm so thrilled to be with you for another installation of Huddle Up with the Fun Coach. We're going to be here every single Thursday at noon to talk with you about all things relationship fundraising. So I'm Mark Duncan. I am the Fun Coach, and just so excited to be with you today, and excited to talk to you about some really awesome stuff. So before I get started, if you could, if anybody who is watching this live could just drop a comment in the comment section so that I know you can hear me, please do so, and I will keep an eye on where they're coming from. So that'd be greatly appreciated. And do that at any time during this live stream. Okay. All right, let's get to it. So face to face relationship fundraising is and can be scary. I am fully aware of that. And but thing that is most important to know and remember is that it is the most effective way to raise money. Okay. And the numbers do not lie about this. It is absolutely the most effective way to raise dollars for your organization. So if you look at the data, right, and this data comes from Giving USA, I look at this data every year. When you include bequests, 77% of all giving comes from individuals, not foundations, not corporations, but actual people. 77%. 19% comes from foundations, and that is actually an increase, from prior years. So we can safely say that COVID-19 had a significant impact on foundation giving, which increased significantly in 2020 and 2021. But only 4% comes from corporations. So, why is it that so many nonprofit leaders, especially those nonprofits that are not healthcare or not higher education or not K through 12 private schools, are spending so much time raising money in a lopsided fashion? So, what is lopsided fundraising? That's where you're focusing your efforts on fundraising initiatives that, and I just told you the data, do not produce the most effective outcomes, right? So 4% corporations, 19% from foundations. I'm not saying you don't do this. You'll never hear me say that you should not seek grants. You will never hear me say that you should not secure corporate sponsorships or do events where you get corporate sponsorships. You need to build a comprehensive fundraising plan that includes just about all aspects of fundraising, but most of it should be focused on how you're going to get individuals to support your organization. Now, if you're a startup, I do believe that focusing on grants at the outset is a smart way to go. I always say use grants to launch, but use individual giving to sustain. And so, as you're launching, you need that startup support to be able to operate so that you can actually have proof of performance to share with your individual prospects so that they will give to you. So, um, building a comprehensive plan is really important. So, today I want to talk about building up to and making the ask. Right? This is the thing that we dread, right? But first, let's talk about what stands in our way. What is standing in our way when it comes to soliciting significant funds from high net worth individuals? And feel free, if you're watching this live, to drop a comment, in the chat, and let me know what's standing in your way or what you think is standing in the way of folks who are engaged in this. Here's what I hear often. So I often hear the words, I'm afraid they're going to say no. Like that's like the most common response. I'm afraid they're going to say no. Or you're afraid generally how they're going to react, right? What are they going to do? Are they going to jump up? Are they going to walk away? Are they going to throw something at you? Or, we have this fear of how they're going to react. And I also hear that we're concerned about, well, I don't want this person to just think the only reason that I'm talking to them is because I want to ask them for money. So I don't want that impression. I want them to have that impression of me. So those are words I often hear. Now, let's talk about the music behind those words. So what do I mean by that? So if you're a blues fan or even a jazz fan, but this really applies to blues in particular, when you listen to a blues song that actually has words, right? There's a lot of pain in those words, right? And so when you hear those lyrics, they're clearly telling you, their lover left them, or they're, just feeling, blue, right? But the music behind those words is where the real pain is. It's where the truth is. So the music behind the words, when it comes to the resistance to soliciting significant funds from high net worth individuals, is I'm not good enough. I'm not good at it. Um, I don't like talking about money. It scares me. Or I've got bad money memories. So, what does that mean? Like memories from our childhood, our relationship with money. Our relationship with money was shaped before we realized we had a relationship with money because of the environment that we grew up in, that we watched our parents or our caregivers deal with money and teach us how to deal with money, either directly or indirectly. And that shapes us. That shapes how we deal with it. And so we have to be just cognizant of that. We have to be mindful of that so that we don't allow this to get in the way of the important work that we do as nonprofit leaders when it comes to raising money, especially when we're raising money from high net worth individuals. Again, 77% of all giving comes from actual people. Okay. So, what do we do, right, when we bump up against this? What do we do when we have this resistance? Well, we resort to the things that are most comfortable to us. So we write grants, we plan golf outings, we plan galas, right? We secure money from corporate sponsors, or we write grant proposals, and it is fairly transactional in nature. And we're able to do that in some cases from a distance by writing the application, or when we're talking to a corporate sponsor, there is a quid pro quo there, right? Usually they're giving so that their brand can be seen by the audience that you are going to have at your golf outing or at your gala. So, it seems like an easier way to go, but is it the most effective way to go? And the answer to that question is no, right? Because the data just tells us that, right? It's not the most effective way to go. Again, needs to be a part of a full, rounded, full blown, comprehensive fundraising strategy. But it should not be the focus. If you're focusing on that, you're engaging in lopsided fundraising. Okay. So let's talk about what we need to do leading up to an ask. So I developed a system called the Relationship Fundraising Method. And part of that really talks about the things that you need to do leading up to the ask. First step is prospecting, right? So this is where we actually are going out. We're looking for people who have a link to our organization, interest in our mission, and the ability to give in a significant way. And we do that in a variety of ways. We can look into our database. We can have conversations with board members. We're really just trying to find those people, right? And so once we've identified those folks, now we're going to take the next step to confirm their capacity. So we want to make sure that we're doing this. Why? Because we want to make sure we're spending time with people who have capacity. Now, that's not to say that you should ignore all of those donors that are giving to you in a small way, whether it's through social media or through an e-solicitation or direct mail, but because you want to sustain those. But of those folks, you should be looking for those people who have significant capacity and begin to approach them. And so the third step after we do prospecting and then confirm their capacity is we now move into engaging and building rapport with them. And that's the period of time, many call it cultivation, right? That's the period of time where we're spending, our time getting to know this donor or prospect, and that prospect getting to know us, right? And all of that leads up to making the actual ask, right? So those steps are important. You're not just going to find people who are wealthy and walk up to them and say, "Give me some money." Doesn't work that way, right? Then absolutely your fears will be realized. They will not only say no, they may react in a way that would require you to duck, right? Or they may believe that you're only coming to them to talk about money. It's a very transactional approach if you just go at them immediately. What I'm talking about is relationship fundraising and coming at them and building a relationship, building rapport, building trust that actually leads up to the ask itself. So by that time, you should know how much you're going to ask for, what you're going to ask them to support, and how you're going to go about making that ask. Right. So all those things are things that you should know. Um, and so when that time comes to make the ask, it is going to be extremely important that you are absolutely focused on the mission. You are crystal clear about what you're asking them to support. And you're being very specific about how much you're asking them to give. Okay. So, really, really important. Focused on the mission, be absolutely clear about what you're asking them to support. And that comes from the engaging and building rapport with them. And you learn this because you are listening, and they're listening to you. And at some point, you understand what's important to them. Okay. And then finally, being specific about that number. One thing you do not want to do is you do not want to be in a situation where you are ready to make an ask and you're not being specific or clear about what it is you're asking for and how much you want them to give. Because all that time that you spent doing the prospecting, confirming their capacity, engaging and building rapport leading up to this ask will be a complete waste of time if you don't seize the opportunity, right? Because we've confirmed link, interest, and ability. The link is the fact that either you know them or somebody knows them or they have been a donor. The interest is that they're interested in your mission, and and you are developing that interest and honing in on specifically what they're interested in. And of course, the ability, their capacity to give is something that you've already confirmed. So now it's time to make the ask. So be clear and direct and stay focused on the mission. If you stay focused on the mission, it is going to help you get beyond the discomfort that you feel because it's not about you. You are nothing more than a conduit between the donor's interest and capacity and your mission and your mission's need for philanthropic support. You're just that avenue between those two, and making the ask and ensuring that the dollars come from that person to your organization to help the people that you serve is really going to be critical. So when you do make that ask, and this is what an ask would sound like. So you're looking, you've gotten through all this stuff and you're about to make the ask. You want to look them in the eye and you want to say, I want to thank you for the opportunity you have, thank you for the opportunity that you've afforded me to meet with you. Thank you for your time. that you've met with me over these last few weeks. As you know, we are um, looking to raise $150,000 toward our annual fund this year. And our hope is that you would be willing to make a gift of $10,000 to support our annual operations. That's it. That's what the ask sounds like. Okay. Focus on the mission. I was clear about what I wanted them to support, and I was specific about the dollar amount that I was asking for. And then after that, you just keep quiet and you wait for them to respond. You're going to get one of three responses. You're going to get yes, or you're going to get, well, I need time to think about it. So let's talk again. Or I can't do 10,000, but I can do 7,500, right? So I can't do that, but I can do this. So you're going to get yes, or I need time to think about it. And you're going to set up a time to follow up and revisit that conversation. Or you're going to get, I can't do that amount, but I can do this. So what's missing from those responses? The word no. So at the top of this, I talked about how we tend to be afraid of hearing the word no. But if you do this right, and if you do all the things that I'm talking about, you will rarely hear the word no. You will likely hear the things that I just mentioned. They would not be spending time with you. At some point, they recognize that you are going to be asking them for money. They know who you are, they know what you do, and they know why you're meeting with them because they know you figured out that they have capacity, but you're spending the time to get to know them and build a relationship and build the trust, making the case, making the ask, and closing the deal because you care enough about them and you're matchmaking their passion with your mission, right? So they're not going to feel like you are coming to them just for money. They understand and they get it. They get that you need financial support and they will give it to you if you ask. So the likelihood of getting a no is going to be very, very slim. And I speak this from experience. I've been in this space for 35 years. I've been fundraising for 24 of those years. And I can count on one hand how many no's I've actually gotten because this work that I talked about is what I focused on, is really making sure that they were ready to make that ask. Okay. So it's important to stay focused on the mission. It's important to focus less on what you're asking for, meaning how much you're asking for, and focus on why you're asking because it is about the mission. It's about the people that you serve, right? At the end of the day. Significant gifts only come because people ask for them or people are being asked. They don't just fall into your lap. Happens sometimes. We read about it a lot and we think, well, why doesn't that person, give to us? But the reason why significant gifts come to organizations is because somebody is asking the right people for those gifts. So making the ask, closing the deal, um, these are things that are very important. Finding the right people to talk to are very important. If this is an area that you're struggling with, um, let me know. Um, you know, drop me a direct message, or you can certainly send me an email at mark@thefundcoach.com, and we can set up a time to, chat offline about this. And I'll ask you some questions, and we'll talk a little bit, and I'll tell you if I'll be able to help you. So I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. And as always, this job of fundraising, especially this relationship fundraising, is never about the dollars. It is always about what the dollars do for the people that we serve. Have a good day. Thanks.